Today is Saturday, November 5th, 2016. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the Listener Feedback Show for Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X, Episode 7.
7, the big halfway point. 3 shows a week. You got your recap, got your interview, got some feedback on this week's interview, huh? People seem to like that on the Facebook group. And then you got your Listener Feedback Show. That's where we hand over the reins of the show to you so you can share your views and predictions. And we're at a critical juncture in the game as we head into the merge. But, wow, what an episode. We really liked it. Shocked us, surprised us. Yeah. Now it's time to check in with some of the other Survivor Superfans and see what they thought. Let's see if Pete liked this one or not. You have a prediction?
I think we're going to get a woohoo.
Woohoo. Maybe a double.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling in. And I got to say, with this type of Survivor episode, and I'm digging this season big time, I got to let out a great big woo! Yeah, baby. That was indeed a doozy, woozy of an episode. I loved it. How about that? That was an epic blindside. Definitely the best this season so far. But wow, never would have thought Shea would make the big move and blindside Michaela. But you know what, now thinking about it, initially I thought it was the wrong move because Michaela was an ally and she would have stuck out maybe more than Jay. But you know what, to Jay's credit, he sees her as a threat and he saw that she knew that he had the idol and all that. So you know what? That was a key move on his part. Okay, on to the other teams. So Taylor and Adam to open the episode. Adam was trying to plead his case with Taylor there to say why he got rid of Figs there. But you know what? Taylor didn't seem to be having it. So who knows what's going to happen with Taylor now that it's merge time. And Jessica and Ken are smart. They got to sort of stay close with Taylor because he won't do anything to get rid of them or threatening other than challenges. Adam is the one to watch out for. But I'm still rooting for Adam. And then on to the other tribe. All I got to say is that David, Zeke, and Chris chugging down that food made my stomach ache like Winnie the Pooh. Oh, man, that was crazy. But that's what happens when you go so many days without food, your system can't take it. Kudos to Michelle for taking her weensy time and then not getting sick. And good for that team to win. And curious to see how Zeke and David work together. Because remember now, that's a big thing, David telling Zeke about the idol. And I love that they're working together, but David better watch out because Zeke can easily stab him in the back and say he has an idol and use it to get rid of him. So it's going to be a very interesting merge, let me tell you. And I'm digging it. And I can already see Ken and Chris going to be back together. Not Ken and Chris, Brett and Chris. Sorry about that. But this is going to be a great, great merge coming up. I know, and I so love this season and this show. Take care, guys.
I'm with Pete. I'm definitely looking forward to this merge and to how it all shakes out. And there was an excellent extra video. I think it was David, where he was talking about how much they actually ate, wasn't it?
Yes.
He said that he was able to eat a plate and a half, and then he couldn't do any more other than...
was more food than he would typically eat.
Yeah, other than some cheesecake.
He said he ate a plate and a half and a piece of the cheesecake.
Right. Chris and Zeke, on the other hand, 5 plates. 5 plates of food. And I think Zeke, in one of his extra videos, said, yeah, he went back for 3 pieces of cheesecake. They really...
The others could barely get down one, but I ate 3.
Yeah, they really packed it in. Some good extras this week. Some interesting insights, and we'll talk about those as we go along if anybody mentions it.
We'll have to ask them how their bodies handled it.
Yeah, David said that he almost lost it. But I think he said Chris and Zeke weren't really fazed by it. So I guess they managed it pretty well. Good deal. Double woohoo from Pete. That tells you something.
Well, at least they gave them a shrimp, fresh shrimp, and chicken, you know, because I think if they'd given them this big bunch of beef or pork or something,
might have been a little harder to digest.
Might have been a little harder on the system.
Yeah, could be. Could be there's something to that. All right, thanks, Pete. Great to hear your thoughts.
There is.
Next up, we got an audio from Shea. Shea called twice.
Hey, guys. This is Shea. I literally just turned off the show. Wow. I'm going to have to call back when I have my thoughts together. This game, I swear. I love it and I hate it. And then I love it again. Oh, my God. Oh, poor Michaela. Okay, bye. Hey, guys, it's Shea. I don't even know where to start. This season is so good, and this episode was just off the chain. It was so unexpected. I know I'm not the only one blown away by the turn of events. I loved Michaela. I know she could be grumpy and bossy, but I really liked her. I think she worked hard, and I think she had a good story, and I loved what she was fighting for. But, you know, Jay wants to help his family, too, so what are you going to do? When we were watching it, my husband and I was like, surely they're not going to eliminate Michaela. They're just not. And my husband said, if they don't, then it's not Survivor. That's what Survivor does. And when he said that, I knew he was right. So good on Jay. He made a huge move. And I know Will seems like a tag-along, but it was a big move on his part, too. I mean, he could have easily gotten scared and backed out or told Michaela, and he didn't. I don't think Jay could have done it without Will. He wouldn't have had the numbers. Good for Will. And Adam, let's see. That cracks me up. The beginning of the show, Adam told Taylor if given a chance, he would explain why he did what he did. And I'm sure it had something to do with edit, but all we got to see Adam do is explain to Taylor repeatedly that, yes, he screwed him over. Yes, he screwed him over. But he never once explained why it was a good thing, why it was going to help them move further. Only that he did it. Let's see. Oh, and David, I don't know what is going on with that dude. I mean, he keeps telling everyone, I trust you. I trust you, but I don't feel like he trusts anybody because he keeps changing who he's trusting. You know, and I don't know that anybody's done anything to break his trust. He just keeps hopping from one person to the next, and I don't know. That might get him to the end. Who knows? It's Survivor. I have no clue. I can't wait to listen to Michaela's interview. I promise I won't call back after that. I know I did that last week. Again, I appreciate a place to run to with my thoughts and opinions on this show, and even more so, I love to hear the others. So can't wait. You guys have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, thanks,
you know,
Shea.
For those of you that have not gone to the Facebook page to check out the Survivor Fans Podcast Fans page, Skippy did the T-shirt.
He did
that
it,
we talked about. He did it and posted it on there, and
That's
it basically said, blank, put your name here. But he filled in quotes, Joanne and Stacy.
Yeah, I really trust you. Yep.
So that was his hysterical way to go, Skippy. So it's worth checking out.
Good deal. Thanks again, Shea.
Oh, with a picture of David on it.
Next up, we got an email from Beth in Virginia. Hi, Joanna and Stacy. I have a couple quick comments regarding the most recent episode. First, I had to catch up on washing dishes during the episode, so I did that during the commercial breaks. When I went back to the TV after Ikabula lost the immunity challenge, I thought my TV had frozen since no one was moving and there was no sound. It was a quiet scene with them all on the log in a line, huh? I had a mini panic attack in the half second. Needless to say, I was very relieved when they started moving again, and it didn't turn into a full-blown Hannah-esque panic attack. And regarding the vote off, Jay obviously talked with Brett and Sunday to convince them to vote for Michaela instead of for each other. Maybe I have watched too many episodes of Lost, but I think it would have been neat to see that conversation, either as a flashback after we see the results of Tribal Council or as an online bonus clip. I'm with you. It should have been in there. I was also very relieved when Figgy was voted out the previous episode and am now in search of a new USB since I had foolishly picked her. You and me both. I probably would have picked Michaela for my new USB, so I guess her vote out saves me some heartbreak. Yeah, you and me. I'm thinking I'll go with either Adam or Zeke, since they were both contenders for my original pick, and I'll have no problem cheering for them, unlike I did with Figgy. I'll have to see how I feel after hearing everyone else's feedback and watching the next episode, but that's who I'm leaning towards right now. Finally, I loved your interview with Michaela and wish she would start calling in with her feedback after every episode. Thanks, and I hope you and everyone else enjoy the extra hour of sleep tonight.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
All right, fall back here in the States. Yep.
Yay,
Thanks, Beth.
I need an extra hour of sleep.
Oh, something that Shea had said, and I think Pete referred to it too with Will. Will really probably missed a huge opportunity here.
To pick Jay off?
Yes. If he had partnered with Michaela instead of taking that idol out at the same time, if he had worked to save her, it would have been so much better for him, and it would have put him it would have given him something for his resume here instead of just tag along and support henchmen.
My viewpoint on that is it doesn't really make that much difference. Jay and Michaela are both threats. So as long as he has someone more threatening than him in front of him, he could use either one of them for the same purpose.
Yeah, that's the same point. But the difference in what I'm saying is he would be the orchestrator of getting rid of Jay as opposed to Jay getting rid of Michaela.
True.
Because we've seen Michaela act in her own best interest before, right? She made peace to a degree with Figgy when they made the big move on Mari to flip the script there. And that would have given, Will could say, hey, I learned, right?
Yeah,
I was paying attention during the Mari vote, and here's my take on that, and that's why Jay's not here.
You don't think even if Will had done that, if he'd said, hey, Jay wants to pick you off, let's get him first, and don't you think the credit would have gone to Michaela?
No, not if he instigated it.
Well,
we're usually pretty good about giving...
True.
I mean, if they show us the truth,
Right.
We're usually pretty good at crediting the right person. It could get confused.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that was my thought. It could get
you're right.
watered down.
Michaela's such a powerhouse that
Exactly.
she could draw it to herself. And
I could hear Jeff on the next song, go, and
Rewriting it.
Michaela.
yeah, but okay, so
Michaela
that's not to
took
be.
Jake out,
But it was
or
just
Jay.
something that popped in my head there when
Okay.
they were talking about
Good
it.
point.
Thanks again, Beth. Next up, we got some audio from Sophia. She's back.
Hi, I'm Sophia from Michigan. First of all, from last episode, with Hannah's panic attacks, I suffer from panic attacks, and I don't know, the way, a panic attack is, the best way I can describe it is your body just goes into fight or flight mode more than necessary, and, that can just mess with your breathing, everything. Basic functions are just not able to go on as they should. The way they were showing Hannah just made it kind of seem like she was trying to get attention, I guess, and I believe that it was real, but I think the way they showed it, they didn't really see it from a medical perspective, I think, they had doctors, but I think Jeff kind of talked about it like it was not really a medical thing, and I don't know, that just seems a little weird. The beginning of the episode, Adam did not argue his case well. He just, I don't know, man. He just kept saying, yes, you're screwed. I'm sorry, you're screwed. And I just thought it was kind of funny, but it really was not helping anyone. And then I don't know if they kind of made that political tie-in with Adam just because the elections are coming up, or if that was supposed to prove something about Adam's relationship with the Gen Xers. I'm hoping it has to do with the Gen Xers, but I think maybe there's little relevancy there. And also, I think Brett is just being weird about covering up being a cop. I don't know how necessary it is to cover it up. I mean, I know it's screwed people in the past, but these millennials, I don't think that's something that they take into consideration, the police play such a different role in society now, especially in the United States. I don't know how necessary that was with all those millennials there. The merge, the millennials just aren't united, and whatever kind of alliance they're trying to keep together, it's not going to last. When Michaela was voted out, I was really hoping that before she left, she'd just be like, hey, everyone, Jay has idol. I think that would have been such a great exit. Maybe she didn't think of it or didn't want to throw it out there, but I really wish that she had. And lastly, I've noticed that Hannah, Adam, and Zeke on their separate tribes have all kind of started to align with Gen Xers. So I'm wondering if the three of those millennials will have any kind of specific bond or not in the merge. I'm not sure. And I'm really sad to see Michaela go as well. I think she's just an awesome player, and she might be a little forthcoming, but I think that makes for good TV. Thanks for everything you guys do. I've still been listening to the podcast the whole time, and I really like this season. I think minus all the pushing of the themes, it's just really interesting, and I think it's a good mix of people. So, yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying the season, and thank you guys so much for what you're doing. Bye.
Thanks, Sophia. We appreciate you sharing your experience with panic attacks and giving some additional insight on that. And we did make sure to ask Michaela about outing Jay's idol, and she said she had made a conscious choice not to do that. So she just didn't want to be the person that did that, I guess. I didn't see anything wrong with her doing it. I would have thought it was perfectly acceptable, especially given what had just happened to her. Mm-hmm. But it was her choice not to.
I think she was so shocked, too, she might not have even... She just couldn't believe he did it, I think.
Yeah, that could have been a different part of it.
I seriously thought she was coming back over there.
To whop him.
I think he should have been nervous when she came back.
To his credit,
shoes.
he only faltered once when he said, "I'm sorry," but he just seemed stone cold about the whole thing. And I was like, wow, that's impressive to do it, and then to be all Godfather about the whole thing.
Well, but he'd been around Michaela for 3 weeks or so, so he knows her well enough to know she wasn't going to keep quiet.
Right.
Her way is to confront. So I think he was probably preparing himself for that.
Yep, made for a pretty special moment there in Tribal Council for sure. Thanks again. Great to hear from you again, Sophia. Hope it's not as long till we hear from you next time. Next up, we got an email from Sue in Florida.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I love your show and have been listening for years. I never call in, though, because I don't take those kinds of risks.
Okay.
My comment for this week's episode is that Michaela and Hannah would make a great team on Amazing Race. I would watch that.
I think she's right.
Well, and in the interview, that's what Michaela actually applied for, was Amazing Race first. So, okay, she says, I lost my USB, Michaela. Adapt and change.
You got
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Sue. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I have said how much I've been loving the season, but still, it's such a good season. And this episode was full of bold moves. The first bold move was from David telling Zeke about his idol. So hopefully that pays off for David, because he's done that like 6 times before. Second bold move goes to Jay, which I will get into later. I was really worried for Brett, especially after they lost the immunity challenge, because they were talking about how they thought he was a cop, and and Brett was the only one I liked on that tribe. Pretty worried for Brett. But when Jay decided that it might be time to get rid of Michaela, I was so happy. I know a lot of people like Michaela, but I just couldn't get into her gameplay. She's too snarky, and she didn't make a whole lot of moves. So she felt more like a Sandra and less like a Natalie to me. But Jay just crawled up onto my favorites list, because that was an epic blindside. And I always say that you want to get the strategic people out first. And Michaela, she talked a lot of strategy, and I know she would make some moves if she could, but I think it was brilliant move by Jay. And, and he did the smart thing. He got the strategist, the schemer, out early. And a lot of people, they try to get the challenge beast out early. But that's a bad idea, because when the merge comes, they're the target and not the subtle strategist. So I was very happy that Jay went through with that and blindsided Michaela. Wow. That was a great travel and great blindside. And next time, looks like the merge. So excited.
All right, us too. Thanks, Parker. Next up, we got an email from Titus in Boston. Hello, Survivor fans. Titus here. Bewildered and bemused in Boston. I have a few brief thoughts. Adam's explanation to Taylor equals horrible. Michaela's interview equals refreshing. David's timing on sharing idol knowledge equals convenient. Feeling about losing Michaela's entertainment value equals devastated. The level of excitement for the next episode, that equals subpar. Is Taze going to surprise us and play with restraint? Who is Will? Because so far he is a bumbling follower. Will Adam and Zeke reconnect in the merge? Who will take revenge first? Hoping for something good soon. Ciao. Thanks, Titus. Tell you, there's an extra video with Taylor what you have to do is you have to watch this extra video with Jessica, where she's talking about how much she likes Taylor and what he represents and
trust him,
and how basically things have flipped on Adam, and that it's just, I don't know why I guess maybe it's not relevant to the larger story of the season, but you watch this with Jessica, she's pretty much certain that they're not with Adam and they want to go with Taylor. And then you watch this extra video with Taylor and he's like, oh yeah, I lied to him. And I got no problem lying to Jessica and Ken. And I'll happily write their name down.
He can justify it.
Yes. So
because
I
they
thought,
lied to him.
That's okay. I've misjudged Taylor a bit. Let me just readjust a little bit because there's more to him. He's not completely doofus. I mean, I think it's going to be good for him to have Jay running him again, someone thinking for him, and like you seemed to be doing before. I think that'll help a lot. But he's got some game, actually, and he completely snowed Jessica. Not that we've seen that's not that hard to do, but interesting there. Thanks again, Titus. Next up, hey, we got a call from Crystal. It's been a while.
Hi, it's Crystal from Augusta, Georgia now. Maybe I'm a romantic, but I really like the couple and the fact that they had so many people backing them and the Millennials. After her interview, I was revolted and really, really glad that she was voted out. How dare she say she's a fan with the way she played? There's no one way to play, but her attitude and delusion were more than disappointing. Having been in the military and deployed, I saw a lot of romance of convenience and deployment romances due to isolation. That's obviously all it was, which was disappointing to me. But the vitriol of how she spoke about Taylor was shocking and immature. I was surprised to see their romance blossom so quickly due to the isolation, and have to wonder if she continued it in hopes of having more airtime. I was also wondering about the pregnancy that you guys mentioned in one of your podcasts, so if you could illuminate on that, I would appreciate it. I don't like Taylor, Adam, Jessica's kind of okay. I like Ken quite a bit for his looks and personality and a little for how he's playing the game. I like Zeke, but can easily see that changed. I like David in a weird way, and I like your idea that maybe he's playing a character. I don't want him to win, though. I don't like Michelle. She's really smart, or seems like it, but very annoying to me. I do not like Chris. I hope David continues to keep a beard after the show. I feel like it gives him less of a geeky, lost look and could potentially be good for his confidence in the future due to how people react sometimes differently depending on how you look. I really don't like Jay. I want to like Hannah. I don't know anything about Sunday. I like Will. I might like Will best of all. At first, I wondered if he'd be like the ice cream guy Parvati duped, but we haven't seen enough to know now. I really, really don't like Michaela. Sure, she's great at everything. Everyone seems to like her on this podcast, but I don't get it. Her attitude is atrocious. Did I say something about Taylor already? I don't like him. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this is stream of consciousness throughout the show. I don't know if I have said this in previous seasons, but when I've been deployed and watched this show, I've gotten so jealous of the food rewards. Fortunately, while I watched this episode, I was eating pizza and wings, and I'm not deployed. Why was Michaela not shooting for their team during the community challenge? Okay, so Michaela's doing the hard part of the challenge. Did it have to be a different person? If so, then that makes sense. Now, everyone is going to like Michaela even more because she helped them win. Will she be a threat now and get voted out faster? I hope no one gets sick from how fast they were eating and how much. I think the chef is now my favorite player in the game. Can he stay? I would probably be shoveling the food in with my hands too, but really, the farting and belching on national television, that's gross. I don't get it. I wonder why they highlighted the political conversation, because they knew it would be airing so close to the election. Dang it. Why did Taylor have to talk about the Electoral College and how it's stupid? Now I have to like him a little. Taylor is desperate. I know Jessica and Ken can see that. I understand Jessica's thoughts, but Taylor is all about the millennials. Adam would be more on their side. Oh, Brett. I don't really like Brett either, but he's like Sunday. I don't really know him either. The Canadian guy that calls in on this podcast sounds like Daniel McGuire from Bachelor in Paradise. Maybe it's because they're from the same place in Canada, but every time I hear him on the podcast, I visualize the guy from Bachelor. It's really fun. I wonder what Brett has done to make them not believe he's a funeral director. How does Hannah know he's a cop? I like her plan, regardless of how Hannah came to it. Make them seem sketchy. Too funny and lively to be a funeral director? That's stupid. I would think you might need to be an outgoing person who can step away and joke a lot if you were on that job. Steve, my husband, was watching this with me, and he yelled, Zimbabwe, at the beginning of the challenge along with the music. He always says silly things with the music when it gets loud and tribal. David is doing good at a challenge? Wow, Adam got that combo fast. I think I would be so bad at the slingshot thing. I think it's funny that David, of all people, says something about Michelle having a meltdown. Nothing but would. Jeff Probst. Good. I think my tribe needs to go to the tribal council. The other tribes are kind of a known thing. Steve, my husband, says millennials are thick as thieves, aren't they? Then we talked about who we thought would go home. I said Michaela's name would come up, but they wouldn't actually vote her out. I think it'll be Brett. Maybe Hannah. What is up with this silence? So weird. Why are other people deciding Sunday's fate? Why doesn't she do something to decide her own fate? Music gets louder. Steve says, blood diamonds in the Congo. Michaela with her sand table. Hilarious. But I think it was a good idea for her other people to be able to visualize what she was saying. Jay says Michaela is smart and then cuts to her saying going to tribal is a good idea. That was pretty funny. I was right. Her name is totally coming up. She's on the outside of the millennial group. Maybe she'll go home. I think if they voted out Brett, it wouldn't matter in the long run, honestly, but voting out Michaela is going to be a big deal to a lot more people. I love Michaela's reaction. Is Hannah going to have another panic attack? I love how Jay's just resolute about it. Hannah's going to have a panic attack. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy Michaela's gone. Merch! Gen X is outnumbered, but I'm not even worried about it. Okay, after her interview, I totally love Michaela. And Jay Waffles mentions Bachelor and his listeners' feedback, and now I'm pretty sure he's Daniel McGuire. Okay, bye.
Wow.
Okay,
That was intense.
Crystal on Fast Forward.
Yeah, good job catching up there.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could have gotten all that out of my mouth.
Excellent. Enjoyed that.
Good job, Crystal.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got a brief update from Marla and Sarah, but it actually has nothing to do with Survivor.
Oh.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor friends. We're sorry we didn't watch the episode yet. We're still celebrating. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for all you do.
Bye. Go Cubs.
All right,
Gee, wonder
thanks.
what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. A little celebration.
Good job. I'm sure they weren't alone.
No, that was one of the largest gatherings ever, I think. Is huge. Good deal. Well, we look forward to checking back with you next week, Marla and Sarah. You celebrate and enjoy. 108 years. Wow. Okay, next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
What a blindside. I had no idea that was going to happen. The trust between David and Zeke can perhaps take both of them a long way, as long as Zeke doesn't take advantage of that trust. Hannah has some very great observation skills to be able to tell that Brett was a cop. I just don't think Hannah will have enough people on her side if she wants to take him out. The immunity challenge looked like it could have been very hard, throwing the coconuts because of the 4 ropes attached to it. I think one of the reasons Michaela was blindsided is because of her Final 4 deal and the plan she had to get there using the shells and rocks. As for the next episode, merge. I don't know who will get their revenge first, but I think Hannah will probably have to work pretty hard for hers to happen. That's all for this week. Take care. All right. Thank you, Jack. I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to want to go after Jay. He's certainly now, he and Taylor are the most physical threats.
Big physical. I don't know about the most, but they are significant physical threats.
I mean, on the millennials side.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, obviously, Chris is probably the biggest threat now.
I wouldn't rule Ken out. See, there's some serious competition for
Ken
big physical threat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what's going to make it interesting as we enter the individual side of the game here.
Yeah. Who will the millennials, whoever groups together, who would they think would be a bigger threat, do you think, Ken or Chris?
They're going to remember Chris more, I think, because they called him the Hulk.
He's such a beast.
Yeah, and he was tossing them around. And
yeah, from day one.
Yeah.
So
I think he might have made the bigger impression.
Ken second, maybe. But I don't know that it's going to go down that way if Adam and Zeke decide to not go back with the Millennials and hang with the Gen X. So
Could be.
I'm really anxious to see how that works out.
Yes, I think we all are. Thanks again, Jack. Let's check in with Drew and his crew and see how they're doing.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew, and I have a couple of sidekicks today. Say hi, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Nice.
Hi, Charlie.
Yes, hi, Charlie. Here on a Saturday morning, just sending some quick feedback. Wow. At first, I was like, haha, hashtag what? What a vague, weird hashtag. But then I realized it was exactly my reaction at Tribal Council, so it made perfect sense after all. More on that later, but first, anything to get out of the way? Taylor's, quote, revenge was, and I'm sure will continue to be, a total waste of next time on Survivor. That guy couldn't figure out a way to take revenge if his snowboard depended on it. I don't think Hannah will be too interested in revenge either. It just doesn't seem like her game plan, you know? I feel like if she can continue in the game, she'll be fine with whoever is taking her there. Though Michaela says she is a lot smarter than we're led to believe, so who knows. And Michaela, speaking of, is out just as she's starting to get momentum. What a feeling that must be. I guess people just didn't like how assertive she was. Maybe that's why I was never able to quite get on her team. As for my new USB, I kind of think I might like to, knock on wood, cheer for Ken, just because he seems like such an interesting and sort of surprising person. He does well in challenges, and he is good at networking and talking to people, but I don't know if he can orchestrate things like someone like Jay or Adam can. Oh my, things are really shaping up for an interesting second half. And Jay, talk about bold. I mean, he looked Michaela right in the eye, and he fessed up. That was real gameplay. And that's about it. Some good challenges and some interesting gameplay. It was just lots of stuff going on. But the winner of the week, I'm still going to give it to Michaela, probably because of your interview with her. She was awesome. Such a good sport, even if she was pretty upset in the moment. And thank you for asking her the exact question I was asking my TV as she was losing her mind on her way out of Tribal Council. I get that that's not how she wanted to play her game and go out, but man, outing Jay's idol really would have been a way to go, wouldn't it? I was expecting it any second. She's going to say it. She's going to say, hey, by the way, he has an idol. Oh man, that would have been really crazy. Loser of the week, I don't really remember much loserish stuff this week, so I guess I'll give that to Michaela too. Not that she's a loser, as she said, but just for showing her cards and playing too hard and rock and shelling her way right out of Jay's good graces. It's a shame, but that's how it goes. So I'm gonna have to give it a lot of thought as to my USB. We both need to pick one here, actually, and we'll see what happens. But man, really interesting. Thanks for all your work, you two, and of course, looking forward to the feedback. Talk to y'all later, and have a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Drew. That if she'd have just turned around and said, "You guys should be getting rid of him and his idol."
And by the way, Brett's a cop. We're on to you. Hannah busted you. You quit lying. Why didn't you get rid of the liar?
No, she shouldn't throw Hannah under the bus. Hannah was already out of the loop. She made that clear to Michaela. Michaela knew exactly who flipped on her. Because Hannah was like, I didn't do it. And so she was genuinely shocked. So Michaela knew who flipped.
I did want those two things. They just seemed like they were teeing up the whole Brett's a cop, can't be trusted thing. And it went nowhere. And then she didn't drop the Jay's got an idol bomb. So and to say, and Will was with him when he found it, so that everyone would know. I'm with Drew. I wish.
Yeah, she could have outed him. She could have said, you should be getting rid of Jay and his idol and his little sidekick Will that knows all about him, and that they want to go after Brett because they're certain he's a cop. And they really don't trust you, Brett. They're just using you now.
Uncle Brett.
It's true. But
they think you're a liar. Good deal. Thanks, Drew. Rhonda's back. Let's check in, see what she thinks about the season now.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, everyone. It's Rhonda from Portland. I'm back. Life as a crazy cat lady has thrown me for a loop lately. I didn't even watch the show for 2 weeks. But anyway, I finally got caught up, and that was an interesting show last week. I was able to be unspoiled, and I'm in the Facebook group previously on Survivor, and so I saw a couple pictures. I usually just try to skip over things really fast, and I saw a couple pictures of Jay at Tribal Council, so I just assumed that Jay had been voted out. Oh my goodness, well, it wasn't Jay. Wow, that was shocking. she was probably my favorite character, and so she was getting a winner's edit too. What's going on there? They're editing somebody. They've done it before. Hey, there's my cockatoo screaming. So she's gone, and it's not going to be nearly as much fun to watch anymore because she was probably the best, and now there's people that I don't really like anymore. Ken's still there. Boy, he gets prettier every day, doesn't he? Oh, he's so pretty. I still like David. I still think David's getting some sort of, maybe some like a tie from last season edit. I don't know. I do have a prediction to make, and it has nothing to do with Survivor. Well, it does have something to do with Survivor. I predict that Joanne will not change her USB. And here's why. Here's going to be her reasoning, because it's her reasoning every season. Joanne's going to say, I just couldn't lose. I can't do your accent. But Joanne's going to say, I just could not let go of those 24 points. Because that's what you say every season, Joanne. And it's not a bad idea, but I love you. I'm not hating it as much, which is good, and I would really appreciate if they voted off Taylor, because he's a mess, and, hey, Taylor, you don't like the way we run our elections? Then that's great. Just don't vote, because that's great. I don't tell anybody that. I've been listening and enjoying, so thanks, everybody, for everything, and I'll talk to y'all whenever. Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, she's got the all down.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Rhonda. I have not decided yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out.
Well,
it's not a mystery to Rhonda.
It does tug at me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Rhonda. Good to hear from you again. Next up, we got email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I'm back from vacation. The DVR didn't eat this episode, and I have my keyboard back. Woohoo! It was another strong episode, but it left me feeling as hollow as Dan Foley's bamboo. I was really starting to like Michaela. This week's observations. It's a good thing that Adam doesn't work in the medical field, as Taylor can tell you his bedside manner stinks. Zeke is shaping up to be the shifty player that people trust. It'll be interesting to see how long that lasts after he actually has to stab someone in the back. Is it me, or does Jeff like to pick on certain people in challenges? Zeke was abysmal in the first part of the reward challenge, but Jeff seemed to blame David more, even though he did better. That's true. It did seem that way. That's a good observation. Foreshadowing part 1. Michaela doesn't want to be seen as the one to beat. That post-reward symphony we were treated to reminded me of the campfire scenes in Blazing Saddles. I like that. Nice comparison.
And it's true.
Yep. Who knew that the Hannah action figure comes complete with functioning copdar? That's like radar, copdar. Mm-hmm. The secret scene featuring Michelle talking about dragons being real made me laugh. Yeah, that is another just priceless doozy. I don't know why they haven't let this out. If that was her way of appearing non-threatening, it definitely backfired. No sane player wants to have the butterfly chaos fluttering in their vicinity. Seeing the Green Tribe sitting in silence after the immunity challenge, it looked like Jeff had given the whole tribe a timeout for losing. Foreshadowing part 2, Michaela's shell game shows her as a strong strategic threat. The evolution of the game isn't so much about ever-shifting voting blocks. It's about taking out your perceived competition at the earliest opportunity, even if it blows up a sure alliance. Who knew that David Sampson was a strategic trendsetter? When the third vote against Michaela was announced and Hannah's jaw dropped again, I was hoping that someone would take pity on the poor fainting goat and give her a nice tin can to chew on. Hannah's over-the-top reactions and chipmunk voice belong in a 5-year-old or a cartoon character. My nickname for her is Hanna-Barbera. I like the Hannah. You sure it's
Hanna-Barbera? Isn't that the cartoon people is Hanna-Barbera? Is it Barbera?
I thought it was, but
Hanna-Barbera.
The way it's written, it's more
spelled Barbera.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was... I may be wrong. That's just how I always thought of it.
Well, we're done with that aside from Joanne. We'll keep going here with Josh. Next time the tribes merge and Gen X is down in the numbers, will hard-hearted Hannah get revenge on Jay and save Gen X? Anyway, that's all I have for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thank you, Josh. Entertaining as always. Let's check in with Rashmi next and see what she thought.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my Survivor friends. Now, that was one amazing episode. I was totally blindsided. I thought Michelle was going home, but I didn't realize that Michaela would leave so early. I knew she'd get in a bit of a pickle, but this was just too much. I just didn't see it coming. I suppose she's a real challenge beast. I think we've had an athlete there after a long time in Survivor, and the moment she started explaining to the rest of the tribe the strategy with the shells and all, that was it, and she was gone. I did wonder why she, when she was leaving, why she didn't rat on the guys about their idol, but then she did answer that in your podcast, so that clarified. But the best bit is that we'll be seeing Michaela again. I really did like her, and she'll be really interesting player. Well, that was it. I had a great time. I love the challenges and everything. I'm going to miss Michaela so much. Okay, guys. Wait to hear what everybody else has to say. Bye.
Thanks, Rashmi. Next up, we got a clip from Rodney. Rodney called back in.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans everywhere. It's Rodney from Illinois. I know it's been a long time, but I got a new job, rampant illnesses in the house with the baby, but everything's back to normal, and I'm back to watching Survivor. I've been trying to keep up with the current season while watching old seasons, and, Survivor still keeps to hold my interest. I'd like to start with the current season and say bye-bye, Michaela. I originally thought from her intro video that if Michaela made it to the merge, she'd be a very strong player. I didn't think Jay had it in him to be smart enough to get her voted off. As the season has gone on, I've liked Jay more and more and more, so it's kind of good to see him make a good move. And now we're on to the merge. It's easy to think in terms of realignment and generations and putting, Zeke and Adam in the middle with Hannah out in the flower patch of La La Land somewhere. But let's not forget that Chris, Brett, and Sunday will all reunite. And we all know that Ken, Dave, and Jessica were on the outs with them. So that will further mix things up because that leaves an extra voting block, and things may turn into a voting block situation as opposed to divisions with Chris, Brett, and Sunday, Zeke, Adam, Dave, Ken, and Jessica, Hannah, somewhere in the middle, Will, Jay, and Taylor. So it'll be interesting to see which block comes together and forms the ultimate power block. But this season has been great, and it's really been good. My wife has finally started watching it, and I call Ken her boyfriend because she's in love with that man. On to the old seasons. I have just met some of the iconic members of the Survivor history, including Ozzy and Parvati. And I was just wondering, as I listen to the podcast and I read online some of the favorite historical characters through Survivor history, what characters were your favorite characters that aren't considered some of the more iconic characters? Be interesting to see who people like that don't necessarily get as much spotlight. But thanks again for all that you do, and here's to another good week of Survivor.
Thanks, Rodney. Do you want to answer that at the end, or some folks
my
that
first
stand out?
thought was Amanda Kimmel.
Yeah.
I still think Amanda was a good player. She just couldn't close the deal.
Right.
But she really, I thought, had a good Survivor game.
She seemed to have
right
a grasp
up to
on
the
it
end.
until she fell apart.
And I always loved her gameplay, so I don't think necessarily that she got enough credit.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Corridan, I've always wanted to see him play again.
We've always talked about him.
Just don't know why he hasn't been on.
And Amy from his season in
I
Guatemala.
love Amy too.
That would, you could see Amy joking around with David from this season, and she could punch him but break his arm.
David.
Yeah.
David would be afraid of her.
Yeah. Yeah. She was a character.
I'm gonna hunt you down if you lie to me. But
it'd make Hannah faint for real if Amy did that to her.
I guess somebody else I would like to see have an opportunity if they're going to bring people back is Rafe.
Yeah. But he was a standout
he was
character.
klutzy sometimes,
but we loved him in that season. Look at that. We focused on one primary season there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But they often. Oh, yeah. I guess we did, didn't we? Well, that's what came to mind.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There are others, but they're more iconic.
But those were the ones that stuck out when he said that.
Yeah, and Rodney said Parvati and Ozzy, and he's probably watching Cook Islands, right? And man, Ozzy was amazing in that season. He had is a classic no social game. He was one of the early folks that could play in the very front part of it, but didn't have the
I
social
don't
game to
believe
finish.
Ozzy would play the social game no matter how many times you brought him
Yeah.
back. He
But
doesn't want to.
Yeah, and I couldn't stand Parvati in that season. I just detested her.
I know, you totally did.
Yep.
Part of it was because we didn't see the win coming for her.
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Cook Islands. I was.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the season where it was it China?
No, Parvati wasn't in China.
No, it was Amanda and James that went to China.
Yes.
I don't know. Which season did Parvati win now?
You're talking about Micronesia?
Yes, Micronesia.
Fans versus fans versus favorite.
Fans versus favorite.
Okay.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
And where poor Eric, those powerhouse women, that's the first time we really got that. Well, I guess Amazon, you could say, had some power women, but I really loved those women and how they played the game. So, but we didn't see it. They didn't give us enough to see that Parvati had as much of an in. We thought for sure it was Amanda.
Anyone else, like Rodney was saying, come to mind?
No, I've talked enough.
Charlie from Gabon, maybe? He seemed savvy. We used to really like to touch base and talk with him when we would see him at the finales or when we saw him at the anniversary party, right? And thought there might be more to his game.
Yep, I love Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for that, Rodney. Good to hear from you. Hope you continue to call in. Next up, we got an email from Carolyn in St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Wow, I can't believe I'm still at the top of the leaderboard. I can only hope that most people near the top have also lost their USB. I'm heartbroken that Michaela is gone. She has everything, brains, brawn, and beauty, with the extra bonus of a sparkling personality. She foreshadowed her own downfall, though, first saying she didn't want to stand out as a threat, then laying out a complex strategy for her tribe mates using rocks and shells. I'll never forget the intense stare down between Michaela and Jay at Tribal. I was riveted. Maybe Jay will be my new USB. Thanks as always. And thank you, Carolyn, and congratulations.
Yes, thanks, Carolyn. Next up, we got some audio from Joe.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all Survivor fans. Joe from Huntersville, North Carolina. Wow, 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 wow. What a great episode. Poor Michaela. She was blindsided. I loved her gameplay, and I liked your interview with her. I think we can expect her to show up in future seasons. Did you catch Jessica's extra video where she said that Adam was too strategic and that Taylor was a good person to trust? Now go to Taylor's video where he said that he is going to throw Jessica and Ken under the bus because they lied to him and voted out his poor Figgy. Oh, poor Taylor. I am really starting to like Chris, but I think he is too much of a threat and his time will be short. Jay is in the same boat. So now that the merge is going to happen, who do you think Hannah is going to pair up with now that Michaela is gone? I think she'll fall back with Michelle. So, for next week's Survivor, I haven't a clue who is going to be the first jury member. Well, take care.
If Hannah goes back with Michelle, that might be the kiss of death.
Yeah.
So, but it could be that I just don't like Michelle. I still don't know why. I just don't. So it is what it is. But
that clip with the dragons. She had talked about dragons in her preseason interview. One of them, I can't remember exactly who it was. And I was like, is that crazy
Michelle?
stuff going to come out? And sure enough, like they were talking about earlier in that extra video. Good grief.
But she uses dragons and dinosaurs interchangeably.
Yeah, it's part of
It's different.
a theory, I suppose.
Okay,
but
well.
it tells you everything you need to know as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think we know how Stacy feels.
Hannah is going to sync back up with Zeke and Adam.
Zeke and Adam, probably.
Yeah, I don't know about Michelle.
Because she's not going to trust, she can't trust Will, she can't trust Jay, and I'm not sure how much she's going to trust Brett and Sunday since no one told her. So, though I do think she'll get carried along, because why target Hannah?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I don't. She's not a target. She gets to go deep now because she doesn't represent any threat.
Woo-hoo.
Unless she just acts up.
I really hadn't thought about keeping her that much, but Rhonda has a point.
All right,
It is
Rhonda, we'll talk her
24
into it. Between the two of us, we'll get her there. She'll keep Hannah, and it'll be fun.
She can't
Nope. Josh's fainting goat analogy, I think, is perfect. She might outdo Amanda in a final tribal. She'd get so flustered she couldn't say anything. Thanks again, Joe. All right, let's see what's going on with Brad down in L.A.
Hey, Survivor fans, it's Brad from Los Angeles again. I thought I'd try a different format this week. I'm usually doing my voicemail in the famous L.A. traffic. Right now I'm getting on the 405, and by the end of this voicemail, I will definitely still be on the 405, probably not very far from where I started. Wow, did not see Michaela getting voted off. Hindsight being 2020, everybody was praising Michaela. That should have just been the time when we were like, man, Michaela is a target, not Michaela could win this whole thing. If Michaela could win this whole thing and weaker players have to start taking notice. It was a big thing for her tribe to lose. I didn't see that coming either. Beginning of the show, Michaela was my 19th player. So I think there were 20 players when it started. I had her as second to last, and I picked Rachel, I think was her name the first time, and it was just because of one of her videos. She was saying she was strong-willed, she didn't take flack from anybody, and I thought, oh gosh, that never worked. She was just dominating. I'm sure everybody's going to talk about how surprised they were, and when I think about it, there was editing in earlier episodes where they kept going to Michaela saying, I'm a power player, I need to step a little bit back, so if I keep winning, people are going to notice. They were telling us she was getting voted off, and she was just so awesome, nobody believed it. Now, what I want to talk about, as always, is the numbers. And coming into this merge that's coming up, when I move my little chess pieces around, you've got Michelle, Taylor, Jay, and Will, and then you've got Hannah, but Hannah is kind of a lone wolf. She just saw Jay vote off somebody and not tell her, and at least the editing right now, she's pissed. And then you also saw Adam vote off somebody from the Millennials, and now that with your interview with Michaela, Hannah is playing the game harder than we think she is from the editing. So she's the only one I just don't know where she's going to go. On the other side, you've got kind of Zeke and Adam, and they're kind of the glue between the remaining Gen X and the Millennials. And it's funny because all the editing is showing Michelle like, oh, I can't believe Adam voted his own out and all this other stuff. And you're like, they were on the outs just before you guys split up. So what do you think? That has to be editing. Like, Michelle's not stupid. She was my number 18, and she's playing way better than I thought she was, and every week I try to get her voted out. She will not go away. You got David and Chris who've made a good bond. You've got Zeke who's made a bond with them, and then you've got Adam who's made a bond with Jessica and Ken, and Jessica messed up the Gen Xers earlier in the game, but I don't even think they remember that stuff at this point. So then you got Brett and Sunday, who've been kind of off in La La Land. I think for all of those people, it behooves them to take on the four beauties, and Jay has an immunity idol. What's going to happen there? I think everybody's going to gang up on those four, and I think they're going to go after somebody, and hopefully it's Jay. Well, amazing episode. Can't wait for the next week.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up targeting Jay and did a vote split to be safe. So we could very well see that if that bigger alliance. But there's, like you said, there's so many cracks in those foundations, in those blocks of people that they could just pivot around.
Both sides, Gen X, Millennials, both.
Yeah, there's little mini factions in both of them, and they could spin around at a moment's notice, just wind socket in a completely different direction than we expect. That's why it's going to be so exciting to watch episode 8 and the merge.
I think we still got a lot more flip-flopping to do.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got an email from WT in D.C. Hello, Survivor fans. I have to say that I was not shocked by Jay and Will's decision to vote out Michaela. On the face of it, the move seems silly. Jay's giving up a tight 4 going into the merge with Will and an idol in his pocket. Importantly, Michaela would also be a shield for Jay after the merge. All he would have to do is save his big move for when they got to 4 or 5. That said, I think Michaela would have ultimately finagled a way to get Jay out first at 4 or 5. So in the end, this was probably the best move Jay could make. I think Michaela's downfall was in showing the two young men the plan with the rocks and shells. I don't know what anybody else saw, but I saw a fear response out of Will and Jay as they watched someone on par or better than them physically proceed to outclass them mentally. It's tragic to watch a champion fall, but that's what happened. I hope we get a chance to see Michaela again in future seasons. At any rate, thank you, Joanna and Stacy, for making this podcast and for reading my comments. Best to everyone. Thanks, WT. We enjoyed your feedback. Okay, let's see what's going on with Jeremiah down there in SoCal.
Hello, Joanna and Stacy. This is Jeremiah Panhorst here, and all I've got to say is, wow. What an episode. I am sure we're going to get a major woohoo from Pete after this episode. That has to be the greatest reaction we've ever seen to a blindside or being voted out in the history of Survivor, right? I mean, that was just so amazing. The moment when she turns around and goes, what? When she sees her third vote, it was just great. And then the fact that she looks at Jay and says, did you do this? And then Jay's stare at her, be able to look her in the eye and go, yeah, I did this. It was chilling. It was so awesome. And then, of course, we had Hannah over there who was like, oh, I didn't do this. She looked so terrified, like she was worried that Michaela was going to beat one of them up. It was just great. And the fact that Michaela did not blow up Jay's game right there and say, hey, did you know he's got the idol? I was blown away by that. But apparently, from what I hear from her interviews, she's a very classy gal and says that she doesn't like to play like that. So that was very lucky for Jay, right? Extremely lucky. So I guess everyone's discussion is going to be about whether or not this was a good move for Jay. Time will tell. Results is always what's going to be able to determine whether or not this was a good move. To me, obviously, on the surface, I think it was terrible. I mean, the idea of getting rid of someone who is a big threat so early in the game is just ridiculous. It really is. Especially someone who you know you can trust extremely well, someone who's really on your side. I mean, it was plenty of time to get rid of her down the road. I mean, she was always going to be a huge target, so she was major meat shield for Jay. I just don't know. He seemed to make a rash reaction here, and I think it's going to come back and bite him. And right now, I would, to betting man, I would say this is not going to go well for him, and this could be the end of his game as we know it after this. But again, we will find out soon. But of course, I was devastated with the fact that Michaela went home. I mean, I love this girl. She's great television. As I mentioned in my previous feedbacks, that I just think she's so likable, and I really like her a lot, and hopefully she gets to play again very, very soon. Wow. And then next week, of course, we have the merge coming up, which means I will have no idea who's going to go home. Probably will go with either Jay or Taylor. I think probably a big target, usual merge boots probably what's going to happen. So that's going to be my guess for the moment. Obviously, I have no idea. I want to say thank you for all the love on the feedback show, for all the California love. Things are going great here. We're trying to get all things moved in, but it's been going fantastic. And I'm sure Joe and Stacey, you'll be glad to know that I did not drop any Australian slang in this particular feedback. All right, well, that's it for me. You guys take care, and this is Jeremiah coming from Southern California.
All right, thanks, Jeremiah. Let's check in with Paul and get his thoughts on episode 7.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and wow, who saw that coming? It was just epic. And, that's a word that I don't use often, but when the shoe fits, This episode had it all for me. Suspense, action, love, well, maybe pining is a better word for it. Even politics, which I could have done without because I get enough of that elsewhere, and Survivor is supposed to be my entertainment. But still, I loved this episode. Something that surprised me was how close Hannah appears to have been with Michaela. The way Michaela was yelling at her, 2 episodes ago, had me believing that they were sharing a campfire only because they were on the same tribe. Obviously, I was wrong. I wonder if Michaela is as surprised as I was at how loyal Hannah is to her. And this is just part of what I see to be the undoing of the Millennials. And although it was just barely mentioned, I can't help but wonder that if Michaela hadn't wandered in on Jay and Will's discovery of the immunity idol, well, perhaps she'd still be there. Yeah, the shell game she was playing didn't do her any favors, but that combined with the fact that she was the only other person to know that the guys had an idol was what really got her ousted from the game so early. I truly believe that when you discover someone is hiding an idol and they know you know, the best bet is to get it out in the open and take that target off your back. And have we ever seen a tribal where the person voted off was that confrontational before the last vote was read? I mean, it could have been a tie, but even Michaela didn't need to have Jeff read her name that last time. Which makes me wonder, is there more to Jay than I thought, or was that stare down just hubris? I've sort of written him off, but it was a gutsy move, and he totally owned it. And it is a nice feather in his cap. I will say that the nicest part about this move is that we got to see a little more of Will in the mix, and probably will from here on out. So was I going to join the Michaela bandwagon? Well, yes and no. I was on it, but as a USB, I'm not sure. With David as my current USB, I need to trade up, and that'll be fairly easy with just about anyone I pick. Now, with the merge happening, I think that David has a great shot of making it to Final 3. It's either going to be him or Hannah up there as a GOAT, but it's hard to get them both there, so one is going to have to go. The only way I see David winning, though, is if the jury is let go and the Final 3 draw straws for the win. I honestly don't believe I was going to pick Michaela as my new USB, and I'm still undecided as to who I will. Luckily, I still have one more episode to get a better read on these players. So who goes next? Well, it'll be big, but I don't think we'll be gasping nearly as much as we did this past week. I'm like 70% sure that Adam, Hannah, and Zeke will jump on the Gen X wagon and end up taking out either Jay or Taylor, and I'm leaning ever so slightly towards Jay going. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds, though. So the moral of this episode? Well, don't count your shells before tribal council. Oh, and David's face? Well, yeah, that's going to leave a mark. I hope they're watching that infection because he's going to be rocking a Harvey Dent look soon, and Halloween is well over. Oh, and remember, the 5th of November. I may just have to watch V for Vendetta tonight. So that's it for me. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, you commented on that. We were rewatching the episode today, and you're like, wow, that place on David's face is just
still
looking
doesn't look
really
good.
bad. Yeah. Yep.
Still red all around it and everything. So, but probably will be until he.
Well, Crystal likes the beard. Crystal asked about the pregnancy reference.
Oh yeah.
And we forgot to mention that at the time. I thought about it.
I don't really know anymore other than
There
we
was a
figured
tweet.
out if she is due,
There was
the
a
baby mother's due in November.
tweet from
a
Taylor
tweet,
saying that, yeah.
then she must have gotten pregnant in February.
There was I saw a reference to another Michaela interview where Michaela had said, yeah, she overheard Taylor saying that he had a girlfriend back home at the time, and Michaela didn't say anything, to Figgy. Not that Figgy had, her and Figgy weren't getting along, so she didn't share that.
Well, and
so he was talking about it even while out there.
They were filming in March and April, right? So
was it March?
So she might not have known anything before.
Maybe headed out at the end of March, yeah, something like that.
She said they were together for a couple months after the game.
Figgy, yeah.
Yeah, after they.
It's just it doesn't seem like, and this is some speculation, obviously, based on tweets, and some of his tweets he deleted afterwards from what I read, but I saw screenshots of them. So a very not good situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else to say about it beyond that.
That's I don't have anything.
Just a lot of drama.
I actually think Paul should keep David.
You do? Mm-hmm. And you're going to keep Hannah?
I think you shouldn't give up those 24 points.
You two going to cheer the goats to the end?
I think David probably has a better chance.
I'm definitely not going. Well, he's got an idol, so he's got one up on her there.
Yeah.
That's another thing we need to watch for at the merge to see if something
there.
else pops up, right? You see who's still paying attention or who dropped their guard, for who keeps an eye out for a clue or something going on there.
Well, I thought, Adam, Zeke, and David.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a final three if they pull together.
I can't see how they maneuver that, but sure, possibly. Anything's possible, I guess. I'm with the other folks. I don't think Hannah or David. I'm not considering Hannah or David for my USB. I wouldn't have any fun cheering for either one of them.
I really haven't
too frustrated
thought about it
just watching them
much yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I really have a lot of thinking to do, and we have a lot of studying to do this weekend.
Okay.
So
there you go. There's
I gotta
our
have
weekend.
some time somewhere to give it some thought.
Okay.
But I don't have to do that right away because
Nope.
we haven't even had the merge yet.
Right.
I guess my big question is, will this week's vote off be first on jury or not?
I'm thinking no. That's why it would hurt even more if Jay ends up going at this point. And like Zeke says, it's all about crushing dreams.
Okay. Well, if Taylor went, then maybe if he went this next week and they weren't on jury, then they would be able to go off.
Still party with Figgy that time. Yeah.
But I don't know. There's no way to know that until this weekend.
Nope.
I'm sure everyone will try
Till
their best
Wednesday,
anyway,
yeah.
whether you get an extra point for first on jury or not.
Right. Good
I
deal.
don't think
Anything
I've
else you want to
ever
say
gotten
about
that
the
one,
episode
so-
or anything we need to cover from the feedback?
No, I think we've covered most things.
What a
in my
great episode.
opinion. I loved it, even if, it was Michaela that went
Bittersweet.
home. It was just, it was such a
You
shock.
got to think we'll see her again for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There was just a big reaction. Obviously, not everyone was a Michaela fan, but she got a reaction. I watched her day after video, and I thought, wow, you really didn't have.
You didn't
I
like
liked
her
her
as
less.
much. Okay.
I did. It really bummed me out to watch her
You
day.
reacted a lot.
I did. Yeah, it was like, well, you didn't learn anything. I thought you were really sharp, and now you're going on, and you're saying they took you out just because you're a woman, and they didn't take you out because you're a woman. He took you out because he was scared of you. He was scared of what you represented, and just like she said in our when we interviewed her, where she sounded better, and I was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
good. She did learn some stuff about herself because her day after video just seemed horrible to me.
Yeah, I didn't find it that bad, but
Yeah.
Not
Well,
as-
I was expecting more. My expectations were probably higher.
okay. And besides, I was still kind of shocked when we recorded. I still felt kind of shell shocked, like, whoa,
Yeah.
just hadn't really absorbed yet. And we're trying to
Very cool.
do the podcast and get the question. I'm just still like feeling like I'm like, did that just happen?
Yeah. But she said one of the things that she would do different is when she felt that someone was a threat, she would move on it, right? That was in her interview. And that is exactly what Jay did. He's going along. He's like, da-da-da,
He's just
this is
good,
good.
yeah.
We're rocking. We're the Millennials. Sorry, one of you
wait a
Gen
minute.
Xers, you got to go. And then he saw another dimension of her and went, wow.
had an
It was a Rob
epiphany.
Mariano moment, right? It was like... It's the same fear that Mariano had against Sesternino. And he's like, this guy's smarter than me. He can strategize. I'm just going to get rid of him.
Get rid of him.
I'm just
scared
going to
of him.
go. Yeah, I'm scared.
Anybody that scares you, vote them off.
Yes. Yeah, I don't.
Obviously,
I can't
Jay's
function under
philosophy.
fear, and so.
Well, and again, with her knowing about the idol.
Sure, all of it compounded to make the fear even more intense. And she showed her strategic chops and how she could think many moves ahead. He's just, no, I forget everything I said. She's got to go. And then it's just a work of art to go back now that you know that she's going and watch how everyone answers questions at that tribal council.
Yeah,
given what they know, the ones that are going to vote her off and how they answer. And
They kept it under wraps really well.
really well, and they're saying everything. It's like everything they're saying is the opposite of what they really mean. So yeah, it's if you got time, go back and just watch Tribal Council. Given what
Well,
you know
those
now,
four schooled each other pretty good on, act this way. This is your role. Act this way.
maybe that's what it was. I don't know. It's just
Maybe
we've
they
watched
just
that
knew to
Tribal
do it.
Council. Yeah, they manage
Three
themselves
times?
really well. Yeah, I think I've watched Tribal Council about 5 times now.
Well, at this moment in time, I'm thinking Jay's probably my vote off pick for this.
Yeah,
week.
I'm with you right now.
But I think Ken and Chris have an equal shot too if they pull some numbers we're not expecting.
Jessica is such a wild card. I just don't know how she's going to go and if she can play along or get in line. Who's going to try things? Because now's certainly a time to make some moves. So is someone else going to try to take control? And then that causes all kinds of fractures and whatnot. So.
Well, you can see they're already fretting about having Brett and Chris back together.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the millennials.
Right.
And it might make Ken and Jessica nervous too. So they might be willing to vote them out. if they think they have enough.
It's not a simple thing
numbers.
to come back together and form a majority alliance. It doesn't like some people have to do some repairing. They got to have some talks and see where everything lays and what makes sense.
Well, but we
works
already
for 'em.
know from last episode that David doesn't trust Chris not to come after him.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't he go back with Ken and Jessica if that works into, the alliance he's extended?
Sure. David, Michelle, and Hannah. I don't think you can count on any of them acting rationally, and that would make whatever plan that you put in place really suspect. It'd be hard to feel good about a plan when you got people who can that are that potentially erratic in how they either see things, their worldview, or how they respond to their environment. Is there something else you saw?
I was just trying to think with Michelle. I would assume she's going to go right back into her
Sure,
group.
comfort zone.
Right. But how that doesn't give them the numbers.
Because she doesn't feel comfortable, right? She's felt out of place on the outside of the Vanua tribe.
Even if Hannah
With those three
stayed
guys.
with Jay and Will and Michaela and Taylor. Yeah,
Not Michaela.
I'm sorry, Michelle. That doesn't give them numbers.
Right.
They don't have the numbers. Don't.
Yep.
Not unless Adam and Zeke pull with them, and why would they? They were on the bottom of that group to start with, so that would make no sense. Of course, they may feel like, well, but we're on the bottom of this group too, and if Hannah's not trusting them, now we have a new final three, or if we can pull Will in, but I think Will is Jay's boy.
If I were in the game and at merge, one of the ideas I would try to put in everyone's head is we made it to the merge. Any of us could win. Any of us could win. I would just, I'd make sure to re-emphasize that over and over again so that everyone thought they were on even ground, regardless of what you thought inside. And if you're smart, you don't share on the outside.
Well, come on Wednesday. Let's see how these lines are going to get drawn.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Should be good. We want to say special thanks to everybody who sent in their thoughts and gave us some things to ponder, some predictions this week. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Made us laugh, made us think. Thank you so much. Also, a big thanks to Scott in San Francisco for his donation, as well as to Catherine and Christy for your continued subscription donation support. We appreciate that help with the operational costs of the show very much. We deeply appreciate your support.
And don't forget to get your picks in before the deadline on Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Don't forget to run your clock back tonight.
If you're here
before
in
you
the
go to
States,
bed.
yes.
Yeah, for those in the States, which now I'll be the one to forget probably.
Fortunately, our phones take care of reminding
That's
us at least
true.
those things. And
And the
computers
computer,
take care of a lot of that for us to help us remember. I'm invariably driving around in my car a week later going, I got to remember how to set my clock, change that
I
back.
know. Mine's simple.
Yeah.
Yours is more complicated, but mine's very simple.
Yep.
Just mash the hour button or the minute button.
Alrighty.
I have an old car.
Mm-hmm.
My car's it'll be 27 years old
Yeah.
in February.
And you still love it.
I love it. I do. It's my baby.
She won't entertain any other
I know.
option at this point. So.
It's like, nope, Honda Accord, my baby. Oh, and I want to thank our son, who this is the first time we've left him out in the room while we've recorded because...
Talking about Zed, our cat.
Zed,
yes.
our cat, yes.
Not that we have a son that we let out of the cage and was in the room, which is what it
Well,
sounded
most
like
people
with
know
what
we
you were
got a new
saying.
cat, but,
Yeah.
and he only got up here once, so maybe the microphone didn't pick him up. I heard him purring.
Yeah.
But you put him down, and he went and got in his spot and went to sleep.
Yep.
So.
Good job, Zed. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah.